Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Motorhome Monday.
I'm Jonathan, she's Lynn, and we are Great to Capture Life.
We are actually doing a Motorhome Monday, believe it or not. We haven't done one in a while, but we are doing a Motorhome Monday. On this Motorhome Monday, we are going to talk about all the things that we've seen that you should not do in and around your RV, in our opinion. The number one thing that we always see, every single RV park we've ever stayed in, we've seen this in multiple sites, is leaving a table outside next to your rig full of food, your condiments, things like that you're going to use on a daily basis. Don't do that. It's gross. You don't realize that it's gross, but it's gross. Because if you walk around or put a camera on that table, and we've seen it when we've walked around at night, rats, mice,
all kinds of critters.
all kinds of bugs, critters, raccoons, different things get on that table and do God knows what on your condiments and the things that you left out overnight, your salt, your pepper, your ketchup, your mustard, your mayonnaise, all the things that people leave outside overnight.
Yep.
And then the next day when you wake up, they're gone and you have no idea what went on with those things, and now you're eating them.
Yep.
The second thing that you shouldn't do in or around your RV is do not wrap cables and hoses around your arm. And if you're not sure what I mean, I can't have a hose here, but like you put your arm up like this and you put the hose and you do it like this and you wrap it around your arm. Don't do that.
There's a couple of reasons why you do that, especially with your electrical cords. You could, and yes, some people argue back and forth about all this, but you shouldn't do it because it could actually damage the cord inside. You're stretching it, you're doing things like that. The best thing to do is just roll it in a loop. If you have an auto winder, then let the winder take care of it. But if you have one of those little bays, like on our Class C, we just have a little bay. I just kind of put it in there and let it kind of wind on itself in there. So it's more of a natural resting place for the cable. But if you wind it around your arm, it's ultimately just going to get tangled and you're going to shove it into somewhere. It's going to be a mess. And
we'll do a video sometime of Jonathan showing you the proper way to roll an electrical cord, because it's part of his job.
Yeah.
The most disgusting reason, though, and the reason that I put this on the list is we've seen people do this with their stinky slinky. They wrapped it around their arm when they're done.
Yeah.
To put, to get it in a circle to put it away. Gross. I've seen people do it with their hoses after they've cleaned out like their tanks, and so they've shoved that hose into like their disgusting other hoses and then pulled it out and then wrapped it around their arm, and it's going near their face and it's splashing and it's disgusting. So just ew, don't do that.
Yeah. Some of you guys are gonna say, why would you do this? You'd be surprised.
These are things we never didn't.
Yeah.
We never thought we'd see these things on the regular. There's those one-offs, you hear stories about people doing things, but these are things that we see all the time. So it's not isolated incidents.
And we've got some follow-ups to these in a minute with some of the other things. So we'll get back to those, that list, but there's more, trust me.
Yeah. So the other thing that we see all the time, and we see this on YouTube too, we've seen people suggest that you do this, and we are here to tell you don't do this. Do not store dried foods, foods in any kind of bags, cardboard, anything like that, underneath your rig in the outside storage. Mm-hmm. And the reason that you shouldn't do that is those are not airtight. Bugs and critters can get in there, but that's not even the biggest thing. You're driving down the road, people's exhaust. Mm-hmm. If you're worried about chemicals in your foods, like we know people who store food under there and they eat all these organic this and organic that, and they store food under there. They don't realize that food in cardboard and in bags, oats, things like that, cereals, rice, is absorbing outside things like exhaust from cars, things like that. is absorbing into your food, and then you're going to eat it.
Yeah. Even if you're storing stuff out there in like airtight containers, like that's a little bit better. But let's say you're out camping somewhere and you guys go away from your rig. If you're in an area where there's bears and stuff like that, we've heard stories about bears reaching into people's windows in their motorhomes. Reaching into a storage bay would probably not be too hard for them to break up your storage bays to get to your food. So especially if you're out like boondocking somewhere where it's forest and there's wildlife. Definitely.
Don't think because it's locked.
Yeah.
Your bay is locked, that a bear cannot get into it. Bears break into cars. They break into all kinds of things, and
you've got to be bear aware.
Be bear aware.
Yep.
So don't. That's the other reason, but really for health reasons, don't store dry goods in the underneath storage of your RV.
Yeah.
Number 4. This is funny to me because I see the same thing with the virus that's been going around for 2 years. So you're wearing gloves because you don't want to touch your black tank, your hoses, this, that, and the other thing outside of your RV. So you're wearing gloves, and then you put those things down and you touch your face, you touch your tabletops, you touch the handle to get into your RV, you lean on the side of your RV with the glove on, all those things. So you're putting those germs on your face with the glove, then you're touching other things and putting those germs on other things with dirty gloves. So if you're gonna wear gloves, use the gloves for what you need to use them for, then take them off. And do not take them off this way where you're touching your bare hand to the outside of the glove. Always roll them off into each other so that you're not touching the gross part of the glove. But we see that all of the time.
Yeah, and we see a lot on YouTube, other YouTube channels and stuff like that. Not just RV YouTube channels, but we've seen it on several other. Lynn watches some YouTube videos because they're kind of funny for people that do like dumpster diving and stuff like that. And they literally go into these dumpsters with not even latex gloves. Like they're wearing like mechanics,
like our work gloves,
work gloves, and they're digging around. And then they get in their car and they driving their car with the gloves on and touching their face with the gloves on. So at that point, I mean, are you just trying to protect your hands from getting cut? Because that's the only thing you're really doing. You're getting the germs and stuff like that all over the place. If you want to know the right way to take gloves off, I highly recommend finding your local EMT and having them show you.
You shouldn't even have to go to that link.
No, but I'm just saying,
be smart.
There's tons of YouTube videos and stuff like that on how to properly remove gloves. And if you really want a fun experience, test each other's skills in your household and put on some, latex or nitrile gloves or whatever. Put some shaving cream in your hands and then remove the gloves without getting shaving cream on your bare skin. That's a fun example of
Sounds
how
like
to get.
a picnic game.
It is.
So yeah, just be smart. If you're gonna, if you're gonna be wearing gloves because you're so worried that you're gonna get something on your hands, then you should be equally as worried about what you're touching your face with and what you're touching other things with those gloves. Because we've watched people change or empty their black tanks and their gray tanks and act very skittish, like way back here with the gloves and everything. And then as soon as the hose disappears, the thought disappears, and it's like suddenly it's okay to touch things with the gloves. And it's like, no, do you realize where those gloves just were?
Yeah, no.
So it's interesting, but don't do that because you'll get like what's going around right now. A bunch of people just got, I heard on the news, you'll get like norovirus or some other kind of something that you don't want to have.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Oh, this one's huge. I think I've seen this. We've both seen this a lot.
Don't stack your trash outside of your rig and leave it there for days at a time.
Yeah. Don't be lazy, folks. Just if you're gonna take the trash out of your rig, make the extra, 300 steps to the trash can.
If even that, most of the trash places, some RV parks, you put it out by the road almost.
Yeah.
And it's like they'll have a certain spot where you can just put it out, and they come around and get it.
Those are like the fancy RV parks. We don't really go to those very often.
But I've seen it, and other ones, usually we're not far from
No.
the trash. And if you just do it once a day, like we usually just do it before we go to bed. We take all whatever trash there was for the day and get rid of it.
Yeah, on one of the many dog walks, we usually
Yeah.
take the trash. Yeah.
But don't stack up bags of trash for days at a time. Not
And
only
leave it
does
overnight,
not
yeah.
only does it smell, and chances are you're 10 feet, from your neighbor, and now they have to smell your trash, but it attracts flies. And when it's hot, it's even worse because then it smells even worse and it attracts even more bugs. And if you leave it out overnight, it attracts critters. So
We've seen raccoons getting into people's trash, and it is hysterical.
and skunks.
And skunks. Yeah, skunks. I didn't realize skunks do that, but yeah, they do that too. They're total trash pandas also.
Yep. So just, throw the trash away. Or if you want to stack it up for a few days, that's fine. Leave it inside your rig so only you have to deal with it.
There you go.
Number 6, right?
Yeah.
Number 6, and these are not in any particular
No.
order. Number 6 is don't leave your hoses dripping.
This is definitely a personal pet peeve of mine. Some people will tell you during the winter this is a different story because you want a little bit of water flowing so things don't freeze up. But under normal circumstances, when you hook up either your fresh water or any of your hoses, especially your fresh water, when you connect it up to the bib, have extra gaskets. If you need, go get yourself a $1.99 roll of Teflon tape and just make sure that the fitting isn't leaking the whole time that you're there. All you're doing is creating a puddle, and when you
I have mud.
yeah, and when you leave, you're just gonna make a mess, and then the next person has to deal with it. So
Well, or the people behind you, depending on how it's sloped. We've been in campgrounds where we've seen someone else's hose dripping, and then it creates a river into the
Yeah.
campsite behind them, or in front of them, as it were.
Yeah.
And then that person has to deal with being careful not to step in mud, which we've been those people who had to be careful not to step in other people's mud that they've created. So,
And then if you're keeping your hoses connected, and for instance, a lot of people leave their gray tank valve open, check to make sure that your valves aren't, or not that your valves, but that your fittings aren't leaking on that also, because that could also cause a stink. And I saw that one RV park that we were at, actually the coach next to us, it just looked like every time that they did dishes or anything like that, it just had a little bit of a drip coming from the hose. So it wasn't too bad because at that point it was mostly fresh, but I just wonder how long, because they had been there for a while before we got there, it looked like. And yeah, I know there's always another plane.
always a loud plane every time we film.
So, but yeah, just check your fittings, check your hoses, keep some extra gaskets, keep some extra Teflon tape. Keep those things working well, and they will work well for you.
And if your hoses, I guess in this case it would be your hoses, if your connection is leaking and it's leaking on your end, like your coach end coming out, not only could it be gray tank, black tank that's leaking, and your neighbors, their front door is facing that side of your rig, so that's gross. But also, if you have like a Class A, where it's not a bin, it's a, what do you call it?
Storage bay.
It's like a bay, that's what it is.
A bay.
Okay, if you have a bay that's enclosed, now you're dripping that disgusting gray water or black water into that bay, and now you're gonna have to clean it up.
Yeah.
Or not, I guess,
and
if
I
you
know
don't
most
clean it.
most of those little bays have a little shower in there, so you can clean them out. But ugh.
Yeah, how about you just stop it before when it becomes a problem. Number 7 is if you have like a Blackstone, you have like any kind of grill, any kind of whatever it is, portable or whatever grill top, cooktop you have outside, don't leave it uncovered all of the time. Again, critters, but also I've seen birds when we were camping, RV parked at the beach. I saw the neighbors, they had theirs open, seagulls were landing on the top, they were pooping on the grill part and trying to get whatever leftover food there was. So when the people came back out and they were gonna cook, there was bird poop on their grill. And again, just like the table, critters overnight are gonna get on your stuff.
Yeah, and we're talking about this from, this was actually personal experience, because with the Blackstone, the first few times I used it, I forgot that the Blackstone griddle part would be sitting out all night. So now what I do is, because ours is the combo unit, so it's half barbecue and then half griddle, I physically remove the griddle, flip it upside down, and face it down so that nothing's going to get on the cook surface. And then I have there's a little lock that I put on the grill, the grill burner box, to make sure that nothing can get in there. So.
Yep. And like our Blackstone, there are little holes on the side of the lid, and so little critters can get in there.
Yeah.
And so by turning it over, they're not crawling on the grill top.
Yeah.
So you don't want, again, critters, but it's also gross.
Yeah.
And then the last one, and this is should be a pet peeve to all of us as RVers. If you're going to use your outside picnic tables, we rarely do, because we've seen too much disgusting stuff. So we rarely use the outside picnic tables. But if I was going to use one of them, I would clean it on the top and underneath, because you never know what's underneath. I've seen people get bit by crazy spiders, like dangerous spiders, because they're living underneath the table and you don't look. So I would clean underneath the table and on top of the table, and I would also put a tablecloth on top of the table. But I would not leave that tablecloth on overnight.
No.
Because again, things crawl on it, and I would change the tablecloth every day.
Unless it's a disposable tablecloth,
Yeah.
Then you can leave it on overnight as long as you're going to change it
If you're
out.
not going to use it again, but
Yeah.
why would you? Just throw it away. But because we have seen people do a lot of disgusting things on these tables that you're sitting your kids at and on to play games and eat and things like that.
Of the most disgusting things that we talk about, we know several other YouTube channels that have mentioned this, shown videos of it, commented, all the things. Do not use that as a place to set down the stinky slinky while you sort it into its final destination resting place while you travel.
Or to clean it out.
To
hose out the hose itself on that table so that you don't have to bend over or bend down.
Yeah, please don't.
We've seen that,
Yeah.
and it's gross.
It's gross. Like, you know what's going through there, right? Many of you commented on just a photo that I posted many moons ago about the clear clean out part, going, oh my God, why do you want to see that? Now,
do you want to eat off of it?
Yeah, do you
or
want
sit your baby down on the table, or have your kids playing Play-Doh that's now picking up what's left over on the table?
Gross.
So be careful how you use those picnic tables. They are there for your convenience, but if you're going to use it, our best advice is to clean it off in whatever way possible before you eat off of it, put your kids on it, let your kids play on it, etc., etc.
Yeah.
These are just things that we've been talking about since we've been RVing and going to multiple RV parks that we've seen, that we're just saying, don't do this. It's gross in one way or another.
Yep.
So we hope you enjoyed this semi-disgusting Motorhome Monday. We hope you have a great week. Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure and subscribe. Stay safe, stay healthy,
Watch your kids.
and be clean.
There you go.
Talk to you later.
Bye.